you have a hierarchy in terms of those situations.
I call the Honourable Member Mike Sabin.
Thank you, Mr Chair. As a former police officer, I rise to take a call on this third part with a degree of pride in the way the Minister has gone about addressing some of the substantive issues that our welfare system has brought upon our communities in recent decades. Mr Chair, Part 3 largely deals with work testing and obligations, and there are some very positive changes being made in this bill, in this particular space, Mr Chair. Essentially, it goes to the core of what this bill is really about, and that is, if you can work, you should work, and in particular with young teen mothers, when the work is suitable and available, then that is exactly what should be happening. We've heard very much during the Select Committee submissions, Mr Chair, from the other side, not surprisingly, about poor young mothers being forced into work because of this bill. We've also heard about how harmful that this will be to their children and to the mother, and how being forced into work against their will is something counterproductive to both. That would be fine if that mother didn't expect the taxpayer to pick up the bill for her lifestyle on an ongoing basis. It also asserts, Mr Chair, a somewhat romantic notion that these teen mothers are all model parents and always act in the best interests of their children. That may be one end of the continuum, Mr Chair, but I can tell you now, as a former police officer, the other end... Sorry, Mr Chair, I can tell the members that as a former police officer, the other end of the continuum is not nearly as rosy. Far beyond that, the sad reality is that many young 15-year-old girls at school now see having a child and a taxpayer-funded benefit as a legitimate career option. Just as many will go on to think that having subsequent children is a means to perpetuate that particular lifestyle. This end of the continuum, Mr Chair, is where children are having children, and where so much of the child abuse and neglect that this country has developed a reputation for occurs. And if the members on the other side of the House making noise now don't agree with what I'm saying, then I'd suggest that they should hop in a patrol car every now and then and take a ride along and see what they see out there. Because the quicker we can get these young mothers into work and their children into childcare, the better they will be and we all will be. And Part 3, Mr Chair, deals with the obligations and a far stronger work focus for these young people. With 100,000 sole parents on the DPB, with 50% having a child over 5, with some 11,000 children over the age of 14, and 29% of women have second and subsequent children while on the benefit. Mr Chair, this bill introduces work testing for part-time work for mothers on the DPB with children aged 5 and over. It also brings full-time work testing for those with children 14 and over. This part of the bill also requires sole parents who have a second and subsequent child while on the benefit to be available for work after 1 year. That caused some degree of concern from those on the other side, as it did with some submitters. It was almost inhumane, we heard, terribly damaging to both child and mother. Well, how is that any different to a mother who returns to work after a year of maternity leave and goes back into the workforce? How is that any different? Are those mothers abandoning their children? Are they poor mothers because of those decisions? Or is it that they're just getting on with what they do and earning their way in this world? An expectation to be preparing for work, to be ready for work and being work tested. Providing obligations and a better balance between the rights and responsibilities are all things that I believe are long overdue, and I support and applaud the Minister in her effort in this bill in that regard. These are steps that send the right signals, that help change the culture, as this bill has been about this first substantive move that has been made in welfare for a significant amount of time, and the smiles from the other side of the House really indicate to me that there's a party that would have done exactly the same thing had they had the intestinal fortitude that this party has.
I call the honourable member